Hey friends, you are crafting with Kim Byers at the Celebration Shop, and today is day 3 of my 12 days of Cricut Christmas. So today we're making a lovely Hostess gift. This is one of my most favorite things to do. You buy something beautiful, store-bought, from the store, and then you personalize it with your Cricut. And so we are going to take something that's very ordinary today, and we are going to make it super special. And by the way, this is day 3, and on day 1 and 2 we did really fun personalized snowman mugs with vinyl, and then on day 2 we did large oversized paper snowflakes, and they turned out wonderfully. So I'm going to put links to those up above. Make sure you check those out, and please hit that subscribe button so you can join me for all 12 days and then all the other videos that we'll be making too. And so at this point we're going to hop over to Cricut Design Space. We're going to show you what we're doing, what we're making today, and how to do it for yourself, and then we're going to go over to the craft table and put it all together. So I hope that you will hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if you like what I'm doing here today, and let's get going. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and all I did was go ahead and open up a new canvas. So if you're on the home page, there's a square there that says new. If you're already working in Cricut Design Space, you'll just want to go up and hit new so you get a clean canvas. And so this is what my design is ultimately going to look like for what I'm putting on this sweet little apron that we're making today. But what I want to do is I want to show you how to work with the fonts, especially script fonts, and I want to show you how to add some elements to this. Okay, so let's first off go in and go into text. And I chose this font, it's called Alexis Maddox. And then one of the reasons I chose this is because even though these areas are thin, they are not as thin as some are. You want somewhat chunky so that you can weed it easily and you don't have to worry about the font ripping or anything like that. And plus we want to be able to attach them. The thinner these little whimsical pieces here are, the harder it is to sort of attach the letters. So let's go ahead and type in her name. And I'll show you how different this looks, right, than this up above. And so whenever you type any of these things in, there's these huge gaps in between the letters. It's easy to fix. So let's just scroll up a little bit. Let's make this a lot larger so you can kind of see what we're doing. Maybe even a little bit bigger than that. I like to set it on a line just so that I can see, what the height of all these letters are. And so because these aren't attached yet, you can see they're all on the same line. Well, if you look up above it, they're not going to be whenever we get to the end of this. So the first thing I would do is go up into letter space, and I take it down to 0. And so you see that even though it came closer together, there's still some really big gapping. Now you could go negative on the letter space and keep pulling things together, but what I recommend is just go ahead and go into more and hit advanced, and you want to ungroup all of those letters. And so now you can move them independently of each other. And so see, now you can pull that over. And some of these work fine if you want to pull them down and attach them this way. But basically you just play with it and make it kind of what you want it to be. So just adjust until you see, okay, and once you get to a level of it being how you feel like it should be, then what you can do is you just highlight the entire thing and you go over and you select weld. Weld is going to keep these from cutting individually, because even though they are overlapped on the screen, that does not mean that they don't still have cuts between these letters. So what you have to do is you have to use that weld feature. Okay, since I already have my name, I'm just going to close that out. And you can go, once you have your lettering for your name, you can go up into colors and change it to whatever you would like for that to be. I'm going to be using this really rich red and kind of a hunter green. And so the next thing that I like to do is look for details to put around the name. And because this is basically a Christmas apron, I wanted to choose holly or bells or ribbon or something like that that would kind of complement the season. But just go into images and you can type in anything that you would like to look at. And what I wanted to show you is that whenever you find, so for instance, I chose this holly, and when you grab this, just seeing that it's 2 different colors, when you pull that in, Let's pull it down here so you can look at it real quick. If you look over into layers, you see that there are 3 pieces. Now, when you're using this for paper projects, it's really important to have that underlying silhouette. But when you're using this for iron-on, you don't need that 3rd piece. Now, they do have it turned off. Just make sure whatever you select, it's turned off. Because see, when I turn it on, you can kind of see it around the edges, but you don't need that. So we're just going to have the greenery, and then we're going to have the berries. So you can choose this type of thing, or you could choose wreaths. There's just so many different things. You could do a monogram. I can just tell you that people will cherish the fact that you went the extra mile to personalize the gift to them. Okay, so now that we have these elements together, let's just go ahead and make sure that we're on the right machine. So like today I am going to be using the Maker. This could easily be cut out with a Joy or with an Explorer Air 2. But today I am going to use the Maker. So let's go ahead and hit Make It. Okay, and so at this point, the very first thing you want to do when you get to the mat with iron-on projects is select mirror, because you want to, you don't want to forget and then cut it out the wrong way and it literally is backwards. I've done it. I've done it more than once, just not thinking, and it's a terrible thing because you've lost all that material. So now what you can do though is you can grab these berries and you can move them around and just maximize the material that you're cutting and not have to waste anything. So I would just tuck those in, and so see, now you're going to only need 7 by maybe 4 1/4, just slightly over 4, just to make sure that that Y has plenty of place to cut. And so then you can go down to the next mat and just go ahead and mirror that one as well. Okay, so now we select our device, and so we're going to be using the Maker. So I'm going to be using 2 different types of material today. I'm going to use the glitter for the red, and then I'm going to use an everyday for the green. So when I select glitter iron-on for my red, when you come back to send your green to cut, just make sure that you click on glitter iron-on. It's going to pop that window back down, and then you're able to select the other type of iron-on. So I have everyday here with the little star, meaning it's a favorite. If you don't have favorites set up yet, just go into Browse All Materials, and then you'll be able to see the big laundry list of materials that your machine can cut. Okay, so for this, we're going to go with glitter, and now we're ready to run over to the craft table and put our first piece of material on the mat and get cutting. Okay, so here we are on the craft table, and these are the items that I'm going to be using today. So I have a darling apron that I picked up from Target. It was $8 or $10, I can't remember which one, but it is a really pretty little A-line. So this is gorgeous by itself, but again, putting the personalization on it is going to really take it up a notch. We have glitter iron-on, everyday iron-on. I have my clear acrylic ruler, which I use to center everything. I do use my paper trimmer a lot when I'm cutting out materials, just because I feel like it saves me a lot of my materials and keeps all my lines straight. I have my green mat, and I have my EasyPress mat, and then I do have my just everyday weeding tools. Okay, so let's move it all out of the way, and we'll put our first iron-on the mat. Okay, so when I was looking at my material, I actually have a remnant that is larger than what I need. So I need 7 by 4 1/4, but I'm going to use this piece, and I'm going to leave it together so that I can trim it out and salvage as much for the next project as I can off of this. So I'm not going to use my trimmer today. I'm just going to work with it the way it is. So you want to make sure that you put shiny side down when you're working with iron-on. So put it at the corner, and then you can use your scraping tool to make sure that you don't have any bubbles when you put it on. And if your mat is less sticky, I mean, glitter is really thick, and so sometimes it'll want to come away from a mat that's been used several times. But if that happens, you can just put a little piece of Scotch tape or something at the corners just to make sure that it doesn't shift. And the thing is with mats that are like a little less sticky, vinyl and stuff like that still sticks perfectly fine. It's just the thicker materials might want to, you know, roll away at the edges. Okay, so let's move over to the machine and do our first cut. Okay, so now here we are at the machine. We just put it under the feeds. Okay, and now with this blinking, it's ready to go. Okay, so here is our first cut off of the machine. And so what you want to do is you want to bend your mat. You don't want to bend the material, you want to bend the mat. The mat can take it and sort of pop up the edges. And you can even kind of do it like a taco and kind of pull it away. And then that way you're not damaging your cut. Okay? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put the mat to the side, and now of course we left a lot of material on this, and so I'm not sure if you can see that on camera, but there's a lot of leftover material that I want to save there. So you can use your paper trimmer to cut that off so that you have a straight line, or you can use your scissors. Okay, so to weed out your design, I strongly suggest like starting at an edge and making sure, like there's a lot of little berries and things here. So we're gonna start at that edge, kind of pull that away. And you wanna make sure that you don't pull up your berry. So you pretty much just kind of pick at it, and you can use a pair of scissors if you need to kind of cut that away. And you can also use the tip of your weeding tool to kind of hold down any berries. So there's some berries right there. But glitter pulls away pretty easy. It's just on those small things. I do like to kind of hold them down if they act like they want to pull up. Okay, and so we'll finish this up and go ahead and put our green on the mat. Okay, so now we have everything weeded out. And so now all we need to do is take our pieces and trim them out and separate the different elements. So our 2 pieces of greenery, and then we just want to trim out our berries. And we're actually going to overlay our berries onto the garland. And one of the things that you have to remember about iron-on and layering is that you can layer glitter on top of everyday, but you can't layer everyday on top of glitter. It just won't stick. Okay, so our next step is to use our ruler and to place our first layer of iron-on. And so if you look at the guide, there's a guide, and I'll put the link down below, but there's a guide that tells you exactly based on the material that you're using and what kind of iron-on you're using, how hot you need your EasyPress to be. And so for this particular project, I need it to be 330 degrees. So I've gone ahead and set my machine up for that. And then I've just needed to measure and make sure that I have the same distance on either side of my apron. Then I can take my ruler out. And the nice thing about iron-on is it's tacky or sticky, and so it's going to stay in place until you get it ironed on. And I do have underneath this my Cricut mat. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to put it on our element and then hit start, and it's going to count down. So we're going to do 30 seconds on this side, then we'll flip it over and do 15 seconds on the opposite side. And then we will add our greenery, and then we'll add our next layer or layer on our glitter berries. Okay, so now we've flipped it over, and we're going to do 15 seconds on this side. And so you can go into the timer and adjust this, but I'm just gonna watch it for 15 seconds. Now, once you've done this 15 seconds, we want to allow it to cool before we peel it off. So if you're looking at the guide, it actually states there, if it's a cool peel or a warm peel. Glitter is always going to be a cool peel, okay? Okay, so now it has cooled, and you just want to pull at one edge and kind of go slow. And always pull at an angle. So then go down and grab the bottom of the Y. It's pulling away beautifully. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to put our next layer in place. And so just remember that everyday does not do well on top of glitter. So make sure that they don't overlap. Kind of get them where you want them to be. And then you can always put that layer back on to sort of protect, because your EasyPress, unless you're using the mini and you're able to like get this little piece by itself, then you're literally going to be overlaying on top of the iron-on that you just did. So you may want to take that piece that you've already used, and once you have these where you want them to be, and I do want to make sure that they're roughly the same, you know, at this bottom line, I want to make sure that they're roughly the same and that they're about the same distance on each side. So you may even want to break out the ruler just to make sure that that's all lined up. And so once you've got that in place, you can take this and then relay it on top of your iron-on, just so that when you lay that piece down, you are not, you know, touching or hurting what you've already done. And you can look at the guide to see what the temperature is. Now the everyday is going to be 315 for this type of material. So we're going to just take the temperature down a couple of notches on our EasyPress and allow that to cool for a second, and then we'll put the press over the entire design again. Okay, so now our EasyPress has cooled off. So we want to lay it on top and just make sure that it's over the entire design, and we may actually have to grab this little corner again, but we're going to press start. And once you've placed your EasyPress on, you don't want to shift it around, and if you're using an iron, you don't want to shift it around either. And if you are using an iron, never use steam. Okay, so now we've done the back side of this as well, and now we just want to peel from the edges and at an angle. And if anything does not release, just simply put it back down and do that process over again. But it's doing really, really good. These are so cute. Now I want to go back and get one for myself. There we go. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do after we get this off is we are going to layer on our berries. And this is one thing that's really great about, there we go, great about attaching or keeping things all together. You don't have to place these individually. You can literally flip this over, and you see how it falls perfectly onto the right spots. Just make sure you have it lined up. And then you can even put that protective cover that is going to be darling. You can put that protective cover back over top and use that again. Okay, and so now it's time to peel off that last small piece. And it turned out beautifully. I could not be more excited about the way this turned out. I literally either need to make more of these for other people or for myself, maybe both. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed making that with me, and I hope that you'll go out and get all of your own things, just fun things to personalize and make special. And I hope you love using iron-on. It is one of my favorite materials to work with. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button so you can join me for all the 12 days of Cricut Christmas. And down in the description below, I posted links to all the things that we used today. And if you have any questions, I would love for you to leave me comments. I want you guys to enjoy crafting. I want you to have fun crafting, so make sure you ask questions. Okay guys, I will see you next time.